Hello and welcome back to our video series on YouTube, Breaking Ungodly Soul Ties. We want to thank God for each and every one of you. We've been in recent weeks talking about sexual soul ties and the effects of sexual soul ties, how detrimental they are in our lives. And I've had my guest here all these weeks, my young sister Tay. Welcome back, Tay.
Thank you.
And so last time when we were talking, we didn't finish your question again. So we were gonna pick up from there. And what was the question again?
The question is, yes, we've done the whole breaking the soul tie. I've decided I don't want to be involved with this person, so I break my soul tie. Does that then mean that on his side, it's also broken?
Not really, because he has to physically do it himself as well. Okay. Now, remember when we talked about the soul ties, yes, we're talking in the context of sexual soul ties, that come in, or the door is open through sex. But there's the emotional ties as well that are affecting both both of you. The Bible, remember, it says when that demon leaves, it goes back looking in search of a place in Luke chapter 11, 24 through 26, and it comes back and brings, when it comes back, it brings 7 other friends, and they're more serious or dangerous than the first, and your situation will be worse. Well, what happens is when that demon is evicted, it goes back to the original source, which would be the guy that you were with. Yeah. And so he now starts having these desires or ideas or thoughts about you, where probably he hasn't even thought about you in months or years. He will start having these thoughts about you and and he'll have a craving, sort of a longing, wanting to come and be with you or talk to you or connect with you in some way, because it's that unclean spirit that has left that is now going to him to cause him to reestablish, because it wants to come back into its house. Yeah. And so it doesn't just fly around looking to see, let me check. The way it can easily come back after it's evicted is it goes to that person. So unless that other individual, the guy you were with, breaks soul ties as well, he doesn't, he can continue contacting you, trying to reestablish that relationship. And if you open that door, either by responding to the email or text or anything, then you reestablish that relationship. So yeah, the soul ties, it's a process. It's a continual process, because you meet people, so you establish relational soul ties. But then in a context of an intimate relationship, it's worse, because not only is there sex involved, there's the emotional tie as well, but there's also the vows, the things that you've been saying to one another. So if you've promised each other that you'll love each other for the rest of your life, that binds you together, that ties you to, it ties you to that person. And that has to be dealt with again. So for instance, let's say you broke up with this guy and you've heard the teaching on sexual soul ties, then you've broken or severed the soul ties, and gone through deliverance, but you've never actually renounced that and broken that vow or agreement that you entered in with him. That still ties you to the person. Okay. So you're still tied to him. So that could be an avenue that the enemy uses again to reestablish the other soul tie that was severed, because your souls are still knit based on the vow that you made. So you've heard people say, I'll love you for the rest of my life, or I'll never love anybody the way I love you. Well, when you break up with that person and you're in a new relationship, you find it hard to love this person the way you loved the previous person, only because you made that vow. And unless that vow is renounced, unless that vow is broken or severed, basically deleted, delete, permanently deleted, you will find that, you keep going back to that, and you keep referencing, oh, this guy, he used to do this, this one is not doing this. And we always do that, so you're bringing mess. And this is what happens. That's why, I'm very strict about marriages, that people who want to get married, if they've previously had sex, they have to, before they walk down the aisle, they have to make sure that they break soul ties. So for me, for premarital counseling, you would go through this teaching. And so you get deliverance, because I won't marry you unless I know that you've actually broken those soul ties. Because what happens is the two of you come to the altar, God is there waiting. When you enter into this marriage covenant, it's not just you and your husband. God is present, but then you're also bringing in a million other people because you've still got those soul ties to all these people. And then you wonder why your marriage is not working out, and you wonder why you're having problems. Well, there's 100 million people in the marriage. It's not only 3 people anymore. It's 100 million people, because you're tied to so many people, and this chain keeps growing and growing. And so that's an entryway for the enemy to come in and destroy your marriage. And Christian marriages, he hates. So he does want to destroy that. So it's, again, just to, close up, covering, breaking soul ties is so important. But you have to have knowledge of how did this door open, because even if you break and sever that soul tie, but the door is not closed, that enemy can keep coming back. The unclean spirit, this is what the Bible calls it, the unclean spirit will keep coming back between you and that person. And so in the middle of the night, you can get a text at 2 a.m. from somebody saying, hey, I miss you. But you haven't heard from them in 10 years.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they miss you. Why? Because you severed that soul tie. And so that unclean spirit is trying to reestablish or come back into its original house. You see, so that's, this stuff is serious.
It is very.
And for Christians, it's serious, because we think that just because I'm saved, then that's it. No, this experience, it transcends the salvation experience, because you're dealing with the soul. You're not dealing with your spirit. When you get saved, it's your spirit man that is saved. That's why Apostle Paul talks about renewing the mind. That's what it is. You have to do a renewing of the mind. It's our responsibility to break these. It's our responsibility to deal with these areas where we've opened, willingly and freely given to the devil. And so we have to take them back. And so one last thing before, I know Farai is telling us we're out of time. One of the problems and the reason I'm strict about marriage is because when you are with that person, not only are you just tied to them, with your soul, but you're giving them a piece of you. So you become fragmented. And so each person you're with, they take a piece of you with them.
You're constantly giving.
So your pieces of you are gone. They're all over the place, depending on, let's say if you had 100 people you dated 100 men. All these 100 men have taken a piece of you. Now, when you're walking down the aisle with this one who you now know is the one that God has sent, you don't have anything to give them. You probably have this little bitty piece of your heart, and you're telling the person, I'm giving you my whole heart. You're lying.
You're giving a fragment
of your heart. And so he might have his whole heart to give you, but you've given him a fragment. So
and that's not
it's
fair.
not balancing, and that's why you're having problems. And so that's why, the deliverance, what it does, severing the soul ties and everything, what it does is it helps you to get all your pieces back from wherever they went, whichever country they're living in right now, you get them back, you want to take them back, and then we make you whole. That's why Apostle Paul prayed that prayer in the book of 1 Thessalonians, that may God sanctify you, make you whole, spirit, soul, and body. We have to be whole. If you're not whole, and this person you're getting together with is not whole, you always have problems. So it's all, this whole soul tie stuff is about making us whole again, because God is interested in making us whole. When Jesus would pray for people who had illnesses, physical illnesses, or those who delivered from unclean spirits, he would say, you've been made whole. And he says, sin no more. Why? Because sin is the door that opens to the enemy to bring unclean spirits in our lives. And so, there's more that we can talk about, but as we go forward, we'll definitely be answering some more of your questions. But this is great. So keep writing the questions down, and we'll definitely bring you back on so you can ask some more questions. I believe that, you coming on the show is helping, others, answer questions that they might have had, and I might not even have touched on them because I would be focused on, this is what I'm doing. So we believe, God, that, God used you mightily for this purpose, for this time. And we believe that as you go back to school, you are not getting into any intimate relationship until you get married, until God, anybody that's been in your past that you've had, sever those soul ties, you'll pray, and delete them. Not just delete, but permanently delete.
Yes, no, I don't want them back. No.
Yeah, they can't come back into your life. 'Cause, I don't want work.
No,
I don't need work.
Don't worry. We're deleting, permanently delete. And
you've seen how the deliverances are.
Yeah,
I don't need work.
No, I don't want that.
Until you're married. So we need you to be whole.
Yes.
But we need him to find you whole. And that's the thing. He might not find you if you're not whole, because God,
that's true.
Because think about it, is the guy that you're looking for
something good,
and then you are
still
a mess,
broken, and all of
that's
that.
why we want you whole. And also remember, what the kind of person that you want, is he looking for you in the condition that you're in?
No,
that's why you always have to make sure that there's a balance. And so if he's whole, you want to be whole. And then your marriage will be sweet.
Yes.
Just like my marriage
we
is
will
sweet.
be equally yoked.
Yes. That's why I had to break and sever soul ties. My husband had to before we got married, so that we could have a great and enjoyable marriage like we do now. Because there's no trouble, there's no stress, because we don't have a million people in our
it's
marriage.
You, him, and God.
Exactly. And so that's what, we're looking forward for you guys. You and Farai.
Oh, yeah.
Praise God. Well, so thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you so much, our producer and director, Farai. And we thank God for each and every one of you, our viewers who've supported us this year and watched our videos. We look forward to seeing you again next year when we come back with more videos for you. And we hope that these have helped you and blessed you this year. May God meet you at your very point of need. Whatever is wrong in your life, may He make it right. We believe, God, that He will meet you and fully satisfy your every need. God bless you. Have a blessed and prosperous and enjoyable Christmas and holiday season. And we'll see you next year by God's grace. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.